I chose this topic of the future of online poker in the age of AI. Of course, AI is a big trend, and it's really shaped our industry in many ways. And there's some challenges that it has brought to the industry, but it also could be some solutions. But overall, I don't claim to have all the answers. I have some ideas of how I think the poker community can move forward with online poker, with a project I'm really excited to share with you. But ultimately, I hope that this inspires some ideas that we could all share and bring together to move the industry forward. So the challenges in online poker, I want to lead with this. 4 distinct challenges of online poker, many of which are influenced by AI. And the first is real players are cheating using artificial intelligence. And I've been in online poker 20 years. This wasn't a thing when I first started. Solvers and softwares weren't even, frankly, a thing. But even when original solvers came out, they weren't good enough to really beat humans in a meaningful way, and they also weren't fast enough to be able to have humans cheat with them in real time. So we've seen the use of real-time assistance, or RTA, where literally people can be playing online poker on a site and on another browser, another window, or on another computer. If they're trying to avoid cheating in a more discreet way, they can input the hand they're playing on the table into a solver, and that solver can immediately spit out an answer. And that's kind of a new phenomenon where the solvers have gotten so much better. But also the second problem with this is that the solvers have gotten really good. Like before, they weren't able to beat humans, and now they're much better. So these solvers, the edge that the cheaters have has increased as the technology has gotten better. The second issue is just obfuscating the humans altogether. There are people that are just using these solvers to create bots that are playing in place of humans. And this is a huge problem. The bots are using the solvers to play the hands in real time. But these bots are also, they're not human. So they don't tilt, they don't get tired, they don't get stuck, they don't play bad when they're losing, they don't misread the board. I mean, they just play perfect. In fact, you can see here, this is a bot farm. This was out of Russia, I believe. And the small group of people employed hundreds of bots to play online. You can see this chart here on the left side. That's $10 million in profit, over 1 million hands that they extracted from the community. And it's pretty devastating that this is such a prominent thing. These are the list of suspected screen names. You can see here they were utilizing hundreds of different accounts to run bots on these accounts. The red is inactive, the green at the time of the discovery was active. And so this is a big problem with the rise of AI. And it's ultimately a thing I want to point out is it's the players that are sort of discovering these problems. The players, out of self-interest and preservation, they obviously don't want to play against bots that are going to extract $10 million from them. And so the players are like, the pros are smart. They're figuring out the betting patterns of these bots that don't play like humans. If you've seen robots play chess or Go, they make moves that humans are just not capable of making, and that's part of the advancement of them being better than humans. But they have sort of patterns that are sort of awkward to a human, and how a human would actually behave. So they do things in poker that observant players could kind of figure out when there's a bot. So these players put together this allegation and said, look, these sites are using these bots, and they kind of figured this out. So it's the players that are the ones that are ultimately suffering, unfortunately, as always, but they're also the ones that are figuring this stuff out and solving these problems, and that's something I'm going to talk about later on. Here's a bot farm in action, spanning over 2 monitors. It's someone playing 8 tables. There's no human necessarily involved. You just run the bot, open the tables, and it plays for you and wins a lot of money. So the third problem is trust. This is something that's been plaguing the online poker space since inception, and it frankly hasn't changed. Players really trust the poker sites to manage their funds. So if you think about it, when you play on a poker site, that site is effectively a bank account for the players. When you deposit money, you deposit crypto, you deposit US dollars, euros, whatever, you're putting that money into a poker site, and they manage the money. So the money's no longer in your individual control. And as we've seen with Black Friday, April 15th, 2011, Full Tilt, when they went under, when they got the domain got seized by the DOJ, they're supposed to have $390 million in player funds in a segregated account to pay for all the deposits, but they only had 60 million of that money, so they mismanaged the players' funds. $330 million was lost, and this, frankly, we haven't seen another blow up necessarily of this magnitude, but the system has not changed. I mean, when you put money on a poker site, that money is no longer in your custody; it's in their custody, and you're trusting that they're going to manage it correctly. And a lot of sites are not necessarily regulated like a bank with FDI insurance or potentially offshore. So this is a big problem that plagues the industry today. But the fourth problem, I think, is arguably, in my opinion, the biggest one. And I like a new sort of way of thinking about this that I possibly knew, but that I'd like to present to you today. It's a misalignment of incentives. And I think this is a deeper problem. I think all the other problems are sort of like level 2 problems. But if you look at the root cause or the first principles to a lot of the problems in poker, it's a misalignment of incentives. There are more than 2 people involved in a poker site, but let's say primarily there's 2 different people. There are 2 different entities or 2 different groups of people. There are the operators who have a certain set of values and interests, and there are the players that have arguably a different set of values and interests. So the players want to play in a very fair, safe environment against other humans, and the sites want to rake as much money as possible. And so sometimes these 2 things don't necessarily their incentives don't necessarily align. So, for example, going back to the bots, I'm not saying any sites are operating maliciously or that they're malicious actors, but you can't deny that a site does benefit from having bots play on the site. Like if someone is a site operator, bots serve a pretty helpful purpose to online poker sites. They provide immediate liquidity, they provide a lot of players, and they provide a lot of rake. These bots generating a lot of rake. One of the hardest things about operating a poker room or a poker site is starting a game. It's actually so hard that live poker rooms, live casinos, hire what are called prop players. And they pay these people to play at odd hours or to start games or to play shorthanded. So the hardest thing about a poker game is to get the game going. Not many people like to play 2 or 3 or 4-handed, but a lot of people will sit in a game that's 7 or 8-handed and fill that game. So what value do bots provide to a site? Well, they start games, they play 24/7, they play at odd hours, and they fill games, and they'll play shorthanded. So there's undeniably, in my opinion, a misalignment of incentives between the 2 parties involved. And one of my favorite quotes from Charlie Munger, Berkshire Hathaway founder of Warren Buffett: "If you show me the incentives, I'll show you the outcome." So we see some of the incentives involved in the community, and I think we've seen some of the outcomes that are less than desirable or not ideal. Another way that this is kind of pervasive in society, I think this is kind of like a first principle of how I think about the world in general. The photo on the left is the US. I took this at a Walmart parking lot. There's a lot of shopping carts spaced out in the US. This might be something you've noticed if you're American, or you might not have thought about it because it's just so fucking normal. But like literally it's so bad, and you think Americans are supposed to be really efficient. They pride themselves on this stuff. But it's actually so bad that they hire someone to literally go retrieve shopping carts and put them back. Like, this is fucking absurd. In Italy, where I'm a dual citizen, I've been going there 15 years, I've never in my life seen a shopping cart misplaced. Now, I saw a thread on Twitter about this the other day, and someone was like, "Oh, Americans are lazy, they're selfish, they're entitled." That might be true, fine. But the real problem is the incentives. In order to rent, you actually have to rent the shopping cart in Italy. They're all connected through a keychain, and you have to put €1 in the keychain to take the shopping cart. And so to get your euro back, you have to put the shopping cart back in a line and connect them through these keychains. And this is the real problem. The problem isn't that Americans are lazy. The problem is that people respond to incentives. They do what is in their immediate self-interest. So when someone has to walk, American parking lots are big, they have to walk all the way across the parking lot in the hot sun, and they're late, and the kids are screaming, and they don't want to return the shopping cart because they have no incentive. But if you charge them €1, they do it. And this is one of the big problems in society today, frankly, that a lot of incentives aren't aligned, the drug companies and the health issues. A lot of shit goes like this, but I think it's a big problem in poker. So presenting a solution, I think Phenom Poker hopefully solves some of these problems, and I'm really excited to share this with you today. But ultimately, I hope that it could inspire other ideas and talks to bring new ideas to the table as well, and hopefully implement some of these things in the community at large. So what does Phenom do differently, and how does it align these incentives, and how does it improve on some of these shortcomings in the community? First, it's built on blockchain technology. So this is the infrastructure that's going to allow a lot of these incentives to be aligned in the community. And the first way is it's the world's first community-owned platform. And so on Phenom, every single player that plays on the site becomes an equity owner of that site. So it's very different than how other sites operate, where there's the players and then there's the owners, because on Phenom, every player is an owner. So the way that works is pretty simple. Most people are familiar with rakeback. When you play on a site, you get, let's say, 25, 30, 35%, whatever it is, rakeback, and you get that in dollars. On Phenom, you get that in equity. So those the rake that you generate is converted directly into equity in the site. So you earn Phenom tokens. Those tokens represent equity shareholding in the business. And the cool thing about this is your equity could grow with the site. So the more that the Phenom site grows, the more money they rake, the more players they have, the more the business grows. So you can keep your equity in Phenom by holding the tokens, or at any time, if you want your cash, you want to cash out, you can swap that equity for cash at any time. But your equity at least has the potential to grow because you literally have ownership in the business. The other cool thing that you get with ownership is you get governance. So you have a voice in the community. Remember, it was the players that are finding these problems and proposing to the sites to make these solutions. But a lot of times this falls on deaf ears. The sites, maybe implement these things, maybe they don't. On Phenom, flipping the switch. See, any owner of the site, any player who plays on the site holds one token, can submit a proposal to all of Phenom, and the community can vote on that proposal. And if that proposal passes with majority vote, it gets enacted. So we could vote on things like changing the rake structure. We can hire live events. We can sponsor new people. We could implement new security protocols. If someone has a great idea, great. Tell Phenom what to do. And if that proposal wins, then Phenom could enact that proposal. So it's very, very cool. You actually have a voice with governance as well. A little bit of how the platform looks, very sleek, modern, and clean. I think if you've looked at the platform, it does look very good. A quote that comes to mind with how this is changing is, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, you need to build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. This was a systems architect, this guy's OG. So I think Phenom is creating a paradigm shift in the model of how online poker works. They have 5 tiers for rakeback. So the more that you play, the more percent rakeback you earn, which really is more ownership equity that you get. So the more you play, the faster you accumulate equity in the business, which is really cool. They intend to bring back the glory days of Supernova Elite type of return structure. The other thing that equity gives you, you might own equity in something like Apple or Tesla, but you just have your shares in that company. With Phenom, you actually get revenue share of the business. So every single week, 50% of all the rake of the whole site is shared with all the token holders. So if you have 1% of the supply and Phenom rakes $100,000 in a week, 50,000 of that is distributed, you would get $500 a week. So you literally earn passive income while you hold your tokens. Again, the tokens could appreciate in price if the business grows, but in the meantime, you're also earning revenue share. So the Phenom is sharing the rake with all the players, and they have a really cool gamified sort of flywheel mechanics. Most businesses hire affiliates, they hire agents, they hire salespeople, they pay them a commission to bring people to their business. It's pretty common. Phenom does the same thing, except they're rewarding everyone with equity. So every player that makes an account, in the bottom right corner, you have a link. If someone signs up through your link, you earn 100 tokens when they sign up, and that person also earns 100 tokens. You have to play on the site, play a small number of hands to generate rake to achieve the bonus, so that you were actually incentivizing people to play. But this can create some very cool gamified mechanics to get people to play. Another thing we talked about is trust. With Phenom, it's built on blockchain technology. So if you're familiar with how crypto works, when you make an account on Phenom, it creates you your own cryptocurrency wallet, and you control the seed phrase to that wallet, and you control the funds in that account. So that money is not on Phenom Poker. So if Phenom goes out of business, they don't custody your funds. That money is in your control, and you have access to those private keys at all times. So just like in a casino, the only time the money is not in your control when you play live poker is literally when you're sitting at the table, right? Like you can have money in your box, you could have it in your pocket, you could have it anywhere you want. You control all your money, and the only time that money is not in your control is when you sit down to play. Same exact thing on Phenom. That wallet is your wallet. It's in your control. And when you sit at a table, that money moves instantly from your wallet to the table. And the second you leave that table, that money is sent back to your cryptocurrency wallet. It's instant, it's free. You refresh your browser, the money's back in your wallet. I literally spent a month over multiple emails and phone calls trying to cash out from a well-known site. And it's like really tilting, but it's also stressful. And it's, why is it taking so long for me to move the money? On Phenom, it's instant and free. So it's super cool. And this is one of the ways that we're gonna solve the trust problem. Talk about the tokenomics. I'm sure people will be curious. The Phenom token, we covered 3 things today, represents ownership, equity in the business, governance, community voting, and revenue share of the business in real time, updated weekly. The Phenom token is a security, for those wondering. It's not for sale. So there's no like insiders that are dumping on later people. You can't buy the token, so you can't buy it to speculate on it. Like this is not a speculation. It's not tradable. It's not transferable. There's no secondary market. The token is not the product. Like when you buy other cryptocurrencies, like a meme coin, for example, people buy it to hope that other people buy it at a later price. There's often insiders and VCs that are dumping on people that buy later, the founding team and whatever. That's not how it works. It's basically just shares in a company utilizing blockchain technology. So just like shares in Apple or something like that. You literally just own shares in the business. So how do you cash out, right? If you can't sell it, you can't trade it. You can sell it back to Phenom. So the Phenom treasury will buy back your tokens at any time. So we have 24/7 liquidity. For those people that have ever looked at early stage startups or investing, when you invest in a startup, it takes a decade for you to have liquidity. You also don't earn any revenue share or have any governance in the meantime. With Phenom, you have 24/7 liquidity. So you earn your rake back every Monday. You can hold those tokens if you think the site is going to grow and they're going to appreciate in value and you want to get your passive income. If not, great, sell the tokens back to Phenom. You can do that 24/7. So the profits from the rake, 50% are shared with holders. The other 50% are sent to the Phenom treasury to cover operational expenses of the business and redemptions, token redemptions. So how does the price work then, right? If it's not speculation, if buyers and sellers don't dictate the price, what dictates the price? The price is set, the price of Phenom is fixed. It's set by Phenom. And it works the same way early stage startup businesses work. They're typically valued based on their earnings. So a typical startup is valued at 10x their annual revenue. So if the business generates $10 million a year, the value of the business is $100 million. Phenom's the exact same way. So if Phenom rakes $10 million a year, their value is $100 million. And the token price will reflect that. Token price is updated weekly. It's transparent. It's the first thing you see when you log in to the lobby. Everyone knows exactly how much we're raking every single week. That's completely transparent. There's only two ways to get tokens. You can't buy them. You can play on the site and earn Phenom tokens for playing on the site, or you could refer other people like we talked about today. So this creates two new ideas that I'm introducing. One of them I call grind to earn. I think game theory is going to incentivize people to play early on Phenom because we just launched 2 weeks ago. Our token price objectively is low because we obviously don't have a massive network of players yet. And so the token, because you earn tokens based on the price, the lower the price is, the more tokens you'll earn. If the token price goes up 10x, you'll earn 1/10 of the tokens for the same amount of volume. So I already talked to one player while I was playing on there last week. He moved all of his volume to Phenom to grind as many tokens as possible because the token price is very low. So you could earn more tokens today, assuming the business grows in the future, than you can tomorrow. So this creates this idea of grind to earn. The second one is what I call phenomics. If you play on other sites, you earn 25% rake back. That's cool. You have cash and you earn 25% rake back. Well, what happens if you play on Phenom and the value of your equity grows because the site grows? Let's say the site generates 4x more rake in 6 months. Well, your tokens are worth 4 times as much. So if you have 25% rake back today, you hold your tokens for a few months, or whatever, 6 months, a year, however long it takes, that 25% could be worth 100% because the value of your tokens can increase because you have equity in the business. You're also earning rev share in the meantime. I call this phenomics. I think a lot of people that are grinding early are going to earn 100%, 200%, or more in terms of effective rake back because of this phenomenon. So it really is community owned. You can see here the distribution. I would argue that all of these buckets are players, but immediately 50% of the Phenom tokens are going to be distributed to people that literally grind on the site. 10% is to promotion general, ambassadors and stuff like that. And I would say the investors and the founders are poker players as well. So we really are 100% community owned. The founder, Matt Vallejo, started this. He's been a professional poker player for many years, been in the community probably 20 years as well. So he's a player too. All right, talk about some of the security things, alignment of incentives. I think this is a big one that is really going to help. Imagine, the difference between renting and buying something. Most people, if you've rented a car, bought a car, rented a house, bought a house, there's a different relationship with the thing that you own. So I think Phenom is going to really create this ownership mentality, whereas right now it's a renter's mentality that people have when they play on online poker sites because they're renting from the site. They don't have any value in the upside. They don't really care. They're there to extract as much money as possible. Rightly so. They're a professional. Their goal is to win. On Phenom, it's a little bit different of a relationship with the site. You actually have ownership in the site, so you want the site to grow. KYC process for people that have ever made an account on a crypto exchange, perhaps know how this works. You have a know your customer process. Phenom is very strict about this. It's actually like some people have been off put by this, but Phenom's goal is to have only humans playing on the site. So when you play on the Phenom, you have to upload your ID and then you have to scan your face using a biomarker scan with your phone, using a very sophisticated third party to tie your account to a real identity. So this makes sure that everyone is a human. And the real name and ID of cheaters will be outed publicly along with a lifetime ban. This is something that Phenom has really tried to make as public as possible. I have an interview with Matt Vallejo, the founder, on my YouTube talking about this. It's in our terms of conditions that every player signs. They've already outed one bad actor. They've released his social medias. They've issued a lifetime ban to him. They issued this publicly to thousands of people or hundreds of thousands of people, whatever, in the Discord. And so it's kind of like if you walk down the street and there's 2 armed security guards in front of a store, and then you walk down another street and there's no security. We hope, Phenom hopes, that it's less likely to have bad actors on Phenom because of these deterrents. So it's not the place to cheat, hopefully. Anti-collusion systems with big data analysis of betting patterns. There's a lot that AI could do. Like AI is a tool, like fire, it could burn or heat. AI is sort of the same when it comes to poker. There are a lot of betting detection things that AI can do, like tracking mouse clicks and betting patterns and bet sizing, and comparing that to how AI would play. Seeing how often 2 different people are playing at the same table or in pots together, or how their aggression frequency when they're in pots together. There's a lot that AI could do to detect these things. And I would argue that this is not necessarily like a money problem in our community. I mean, poker sites are worth literally billions of dollars, some of them. So it's also it's not a resources problem. It's a little bit of a will and a vision problem. And Matt running the ship is like super strict about this. Human versus human play is another facet of Phenom Poker. A lot of sites allow HUDs, heads-up displays, where you can see the betting patterns of other people. This is legal on sites, so it's not like people are cheating doing this. It's actually legal to see the statistics of other players. But Phenom really aims to replicate a live poker environment where HUDs aren't allowed, so you can't see the statistics or betting patterns, and people will be banned for using HUDs. So to recap the future of poker, I think it's community-driven. Players influence the platform evolution by having a voice. It's trustless. You're going to control your own funds. You're going to be your own bank. You don't have to rely on the poker sites to be a bank. Cooperative, where players are treated as the most valuable people. They're equity shareholders in the business. And transparent, better security, and publicly shared financials. You can see the value of your equity, the value of the business, the value of Phenom at any time. So I think disruption happens fast. This is part of a bigger trend that I think our society is moving towards. Talked earlier about blockchain today, but this is really, Phenom is, I think, going to be a case study of how the entire financial economy works in the future. So I kind of want to highlight that really quick here at the end. This became a meme. You might have seen this. The photo on the left is from 1900. This is Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. So, you know, most prominent places in the world. There's one car and a lot of horses. A decade later, there's all cars and no horses. So the fact most people don't see disruption doesn't mean that they're wrong. That just means we're early. So disruption happens in an exponential fashion. Most people think in linear terms. So if I take 30 steps in a linear way, like 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 30. If I take 30 exponential steps, like 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, that's a billion. So disruption happens on an exponential path when you have a much better technology, especially powered by something like the internet. And that's the era we're moving to with, we did that with the internet, we did that with the mobile phone. We're going to do that with blockchain technology. And I think we're going to distribute ownership to the whole world through this new model. So people don't see it. They don't even know they want this. Henry Ford, inventor of the automobile. This is an all-time legendary quote. If you asked people what they wanted, they would say faster horses. You ask people today in poker what they want, what do they tell you? They want more rake back. They don't even know they want equity because it's not even on the radar of what people are anticipating is possible because we're entering into a new paradigm. This paradigm is called the tokenized economy, and it's going to be a community ownership world where I think it'll completely revolutionize finance. I think this is going to be arguably one of the biggest changes we've ever gone through in financial history of mankind. Customers and employees will own equity in their favorite businesses. Right now, you know, we have this like diametric difference of incentives between customers and employees, not just in poker, not just with shopping carts. We have it all over the world. Like if you look at Uber, for example, and I'm not picking on them, this is with any public company, and the Uber's not evil. I'm not saying this at all. This is just the model. This is the old model of walking around the world with fucking horses. Uber went public with 22,000 employees, 4 million drivers, $82 billion valuation when these guys went public. So if you convert that, it's $3.7 million of value created per employee, $21,000 per driver. Who keeps that value? It's the VCs and the founders. It's a small group of people, 10, 20 people that owned Uber when it went public. I don't know the number, but these people are, you know, kind of the very core early adopters and shareholders. But who created that value? I mean, I created that value. I used Uber in 2015. My friend comes to Rome. I'm there and we're stuck in the middle of like, I don't know, somewhere we got lost in Rome. And I'm like, fuck, like, well, how are we going to get back? I'm tired, whatever. He's like, hey, let's call an Uber. And I'm like, what's that? Explains it to me. We use it. It's like magic. The first time everyone could use Uber, I'm sure you've realized like it's this magical thing. But imagine instead of me just contributing money to Uber, them taking a cut and growing their way to 82 billion. I also onboarded a lot of people to Uber, as I can imagine many of you did. You tell people about Uber, you tell people about Spotify, you tell people about these amazing apps, Peloton, that you're using early on. But imagine if instead of me just contributing money and paying Uber $20 for my ride, what if I got 10 Uber tokens? What if I got a percentage of all the fees that Uber made while they were growing? That's the world we're moving into. It's going to be a true alignment of incentives. And I think the real goal of the token economy is going to solve wealth inequality. The way to get wealthy is to own productive assets, and everyone's going to be an owner in the future. So, cool quote by Wayne Gretzky, skate to where the puck is going. This is the future of the world we're going into. We have, one automobile on a road of horses, but this world is happening fast. Crypto adoption is growing exponentially. This is the trend of crypto wallets over the past decade. BlackRock says it's the fastest adoption in years. I just watched an interview with Larry Flink, the CEO. BlackRock, famously owns the world. He says everything's going to be tokenized in the future. This is the trend. This is an exponential chart. So 30 steps is a billion. The blue line is the mobile phone. The green line is the internet. Crypto adoption is faster than both of those. So this world is coming very fast. In a couple decades, I think we're going to be there where the whole world's tokenized, and it's going to be incredible. So join the online poker revolution. I mean, you can make an account at Phenom, joinphenom.com. If you have a network of people you want to refer, you could become an agent. You earn tokens for every player you refer. You could also DM me. I could set you up to be an agent. You also earn a share of the other players' rake. So if you have a large network, you could earn a share of all the players' rake who join under you as well. So you have multiple ways to earn passive income. I'm at Alec Torelli on Twitter and Instagram. I read all my DMs. I read all my email. I'm just Alec at Conscious Poker. We have a newsletter for poker strategy advice, the latest content. The last thought I want to leave you with is poker is a zero-sum game. There's every winner, there's a loser. Life is not. Hopefully we can build something amazing together. And thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much.